Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you are good. So you've seen the title of this video. We're going to be doing a comparison between the Insta360 ONE X2 and the GoPro Max. These are the two top 360 action cameras out right now, in my opinion, and they are similar in many ways, but there are some key differences. In this video, we're going to look at those differences between these two cameras. I'm going to be doing a lot of video comparisons, photo comparisons, looking at the design, looking at the hardware specifications. So if you are trying to choose between these two cameras, then this video should really answer all your questions. So let's start off by looking at those hardware specs to see what the main differences are. The Insta360 ONE X2 can shoot 360 video at 5.7K at 30 frames per second. It can also shoot 4K video at 50 frames per second and 3K video at 100 frames per second. It also has a single lens shooting mode called Steadicam mode, and the video options there include 1440p at 50 frames per second and 1080p at 120 frames per second. The maximum bit rate is 120 megabits per second, and the camera supports shooting log and HDR video. The ONE X2 features 4 microphones for ambisonic audio. It can live stream at 4K resolution. The maximum photo resolution is 18.4 megapixels, and it can shoot in a RAW format. And it has a battery life of around about 80 minutes of continuous video. The main specs of the GoPro Max are very similar. It can shoot 360 video at 5.6K at 30 frames per second and 3K at 60 frames per second. The Max also has a single lens shooting mode. It's called Hero mode, and the resolution options there include 1440p at 60 frames per second and 1080p at 60 frames per second. The maximum bit rate is around about 80 megabits per second. The camera also features 4 microphones for ambisonic audio, and it can live stream at 1080p. The maximum photo resolution is 18 megapixels. It's also waterproof to 10 meters, and it has a battery life of around about 70 minutes of continuous video. So just looking at those hardware specs, I think you'll agree the two cameras are very similar. They feature very similar video modes, video resolution, video options. The Max was released around about a year ago now, and the ONE X2 has just been released. So the ONE X2 is the newer camera. It certainly has taken some inspiration from the Max. Both cameras are basically designed to be 360 action cameras. They feature awesome stabilization, which we'll look at later. They feature rugged designs. They have water resistance and lots of different video modes, which can create some really unique video. So let's go straight into looking at these video comparisons. I went out and shot with both cameras at the same time in the same environments to see exactly side by side the difference in quality. I think this is a reasonably fair comparison. I'm going to be showing you a lot of these side by side comparisons as I talk. So both cameras pretty much shoot the same resolution, around about 5.7K 360 video, and when reframed, these videos end up at 1080p flat video. The ONE X2 can shoot in 30, 25 and 24 frames per second at the full resolution and 50 frames per second at 4K. The Max has pretty much the same options, however there is no 25 frames per second option, which might be an issue for users in the UK and some other countries where you may want to avoid the flickering light effects you can get in other frame rates. But just because both of these cameras have pretty much identical video specs doesn't mean the video is going to look the same. While the ONE X2 can shoot at a higher bit rate, for me it seems the GoPro Max has slightly superior color technology and perhaps slightly more advanced lens technology. I find video coming out of the ONE X2 to be a little bit more detailed. I think if we zoom right into a close-up, I think there is a slight difference, but it's not super obvious. I think this is going to go unnoticed for the vast majority of people. On the flip side, I think in darker areas, in areas of low light, there is slightly less noise in video coming out of the GoPro Max. So really the difference in video quality isn't dramatic. It really is hard to choose between the two. Again, the difference in color is just down to how each camera processes the video. It's going to be a matter of opinion which one you prefer. The difference isn't massive. Perhaps I think the Max is slightly better at shooting low light, but again, the difference isn't massive. So really, if you're trying to choose just between video quality, it is really, really hard to decide. What I will say is that the ONE X2 does feature some more video modes that the Max doesn't. It features HDR video, which when the camera is still, can improve the dynamic range. It can add different exposures together and kind of make your video look more attractive. It works most of the time. In some situations, it's not really worth it, but it is there. It's an option which the Max doesn't have. The ONE X2 can also shoot in log mode, which gives you a lot more room to color correct if you're into doing that in post-production. Both of these cameras feature modes that allow you to shoot with just one lens, so shoot non-360 video, normal video like you would with your phone or any kind of other action camera. The GoPro Max was the first 360 camera to offer this mode, and I think the Insta360 have again taken some inspiration from that and decided to do the same with their new camera, which is great. It basically makes both of these cameras two cameras in one. They can both shoot 360 video and normal video. The options are pretty much the same once again, however the One X2 does offer slightly better frame rate options. The maximum resolution of the single lens mode for both cameras is 1440p at 60 frames per second, so that is slightly better for if you want a slow motion effect or you want to shoot some fast moving video. However, the One X2 can also shoot 1080p video in this mode at 120 frames per second, which is really quite effective slow motion, and the Max doesn't offer that option. Again, the difference in video quality here isn't massive. It is mostly down to how each camera processes. I think the GoPro Max produces colors and details which are more realistic to what is actually what you're actually filming, whereas the One X2 offers a bit more saturation. It just adds a bit more light. So like I say, it's really hard to determine which one of these cameras has the better video quality. It really is just a matter of opinion. They're so close that it is very hard to decide. I have always really liked the colors that the GoPro Max can produce when I shoot 360 video and virtual tours and that kind of stuff. The colors always look amazing, and I think it looks really high quality. But to be honest, the One X2 is almost the same really, and it has more video options, so I guess you have to balance which one you care about more. When it comes to shooting photos, however, the difference starts to become more obvious. The One X2 is definitely the better camera for shooting 360 photos by some margin. The One X2 has a really awesome mode called Pure Shot, which basically automatically combines, I think, several exposures and really improves the quality of your photos, makes everything look way more attractive. Dynamic range looks great. Everything just looks a lot better than if you didn't use this mode, and it's all automatic. You don't need to do any editing. I think pretty much every time the One X2 is the superior image. The Max isn't too bad, it does okay job, but there just isn't really any other options other than just shooting the most basic images. There is no HDR option, there's no option to shoot raw images, nothing like this Pure Shot mode, whereas the One X2 has all of those options. So you can really work with the images quite a lot, especially in raw mode. I wouldn't say either of the cameras shoot professional quality images. I mean, if you were looking for something for a virtual tour, then if you had to choose between these two, then definitely the One X2 is going to do better at that. Now, I mentioned before that these cameras are both action cameras. That's going to be their main use. I mean, you can also use them for vlogging or any other kind of video really, but they are designed to be excellent action cameras, and for that they use amazing stabilization technology. GoPro calls their stabilization software Hypersmooth, and Insta360 calls theirs Flow State. They are basically exactly the same. They do the same thing, they have the same result. You can see it here, a test I did just running with the cameras. I mean, it's not the best test in the world, but it does show how well these cameras work to stabilize moving video. If we turn the stabilization off on just one of these cameras, you can see exactly how much it has to do to stabilize, and the difference is massive. I really can't call it between the two. Maybe there are some very minor differences, but I really can't see it that much. I think they both pretty much work identically to stabilize moving video. The main thing about these cameras is that they're both reasonably rugged for a 360 camera. They both have rubber bodies or hardened plastic. It makes them very easy to grip. It means that they're not going to slip out of your hand. It means they have some protection from bumps and scrapes. The lenses on both of these cameras are still very vulnerable. As you can see, they both stick out. If you drop them, they are going to smash. The Max comes in the box with some lens protectors, which is very useful. However, the One X2, you need to buy them separately. Both cameras feature touch screens for manual control, which I cannot tell you how useful that is. It is so much better than having to connect to. The One X2's circular screen is a little bit smaller and a little bit more difficult to use and to see all of the information and the options, whereas the Max has the slightly larger screen, and yeah, it's just easier to control everything, and the icons are a little bit bigger. Both cameras feature 4 microphones for ambisonic audio. I mean, we can take a listen to the audio shot with both cameras here. So let's just go, let's have a listen. Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're good. So this is a quick comparison between the GoPro Max and the Insta360 ONE X2. I guess this is also testing the audio, so we're going to see how good the microphones are. They should both be fairly good because they both have 4 microphones. That's 5, 4. Yeah, so let me know what you think of the video quality. I'm going to go around some places in London and test it out, just in a park right now. But yeah, we're going to see which one of these is the better camera because they're both pretty similar. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think and let's go. Just from that test, I feel like the One X2's audio is louder, but it's not as, I guess, high quality. I don't know, there's something about it that sounds a little bit like tinny. Good for a action camera. I mean, a lot of action cameras are just unusable audio, but I still think the Max has slightly better audio. I think the microphones just must be slightly higher quality. There is quite a big difference there between those two. The One X2 is certainly thinner. It's the thinner of the two cameras, which can affect the stitching line between the two lenses. It also just means it's more compact, easier to fit in your pocket, easier to fit between tight spaces. If you want to film some really weird shots, you can, whereas the slightly bigger and thicker Max is going to be slightly more limited to where you can film with it. So once again, not much between the two there when it comes to design, but the last thing we're going to talk about is the software, which is where there is quite a big difference between the two. The editing apps are really important because that is basically where you're going to be creating the unique video that 360 cameras offer, and it needs to be as easy as possible, it needs to be as smooth as possible, and give you as many options, I think, as possible, because that is where you're going to get the most out of these cameras. Both GoPro and Insta360 have tried to create easy apps to use and to allow you to create unique and high quality video very quickly using your mobile. And there are some pros and cons of each platform, so let's just go through them. The Insta360 mobile app is packed full of features that allows you to create these unique videos. It has an AI editor that is able to automatically detect parts of your shots and edit them accordingly. It has a whole array of automatic effects called the Shot Lab, which allows you to automatically create these special effects using your 360 video in ways that basically no other app does. It does it really quickly. It shows you exactly how many shots you need to take. It gives you a tutorial of what you need to do, and it shows you the end result, what you can expect. This is a really awesome way of creating short, sharp, unique shots, which from what I can tell, no other camera company or any other app offers these kind of effects. The best thing about the Insta360 mobile app is the ability to edit your videos without having to transfer the files to your phone. You just need to connect your phone to the camera and you can start editing straight away. This makes the editing process so much more quick, so much more efficient, and once you're done editing, you can just transfer the final video over to your phone and post it to Instagram without having to clog your phone with all of the files. The Insta360 app has an inbuilt color editor, it has filters, a speed adjuster, an object tracker. You can create these hyperlapse effects, these moving time lapses, which are really awesome, really easy to create. And it's actually my favorite kind of video to create with any 360 camera, and Insta360 does it the best. There's also a pretty unique feature called the object tracker. The tracker is very effective at targeting and following a certain person or a certain object throughout your video. While the Insta360 app is full of features, literally so many features, I can't even go through them all here because it would just take too long, but it does have some problems. It tends to crash more than I would like, it tends to freeze more than I would like. You do need quite a powerful phone to get the most out of them. It works much better using an Apple iPhone than any Android phone. And I know some people have been frustrated with some of the effects not working properly. You do have to kind of do some trial and error there. In comparison, the GoPro Editor, the GoPro app, is not nearly as advanced, doesn't have nearly as many features, but I find it to be more stable, much easier to pick up and use without having to wonder how to create and how to use everything. The GoPro app also has an automatic editor where you can create vlog-like videos, you can add music, titles, transitions, and you can reframe your 360 videos quite easily and quickly. But like I said, the app lacks the advanced features like an object tracker, or a color corrector, or speed adjustment. The worst thing or the most frustrating thing about the GoPro Max app is that you have to transfer all of these files from the camera to the phone before you start editing anything, before you can do any of the reframing or anything like that. And these transfer times are quite long. So if you were to shoot 10 individual videos of a couple minutes each, it's gonna take, I don't know, a good half an hour for them to transfer over to your from the camera to your phone. So really the work process is just much longer. So overall, despite the slight bugginess of it and despite the fact that there are kind of some crashes happening a bit too often, the One X app for me is definitely the better option. There's just so many unique effects you can create. I think that really is what makes the One X2 the superior camera overall, or the better choice for me. They have clearly invested a lot of time, effort, energy, and money into developing this app. No, it is not perfect. It doesn't work equally well for everyone, but when it does work, it is a really awesome tool to create some very unique videos, whether they be very short, very long vlog type videos, action shots. It pretty much can do everything. So guys, let me know what you think. Which one would you get, the One X2 or the Max? Like I've said throughout this video, they're both very similar, so no matter which one of these you get, you're probably going to be mostly happy with it. But yes, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I've used both of these a lot, so I know what they're about. If you disagree with me, if you have any other kind of suggestions to make for people struggling to decide, then feel free to share it with us. But I will carry on shooting with the One X2 and you know, going through all the features and showing you guys how to get the most out of this camera. So subscribe if you want to know more about this camera, and again, all other 360 cameras that are going to come out in the near future. Yeah, that's it guys. I hope you found that useful, and I will see you next time. Bye.